Timmy, you said you were gonna speak, or do you want me to speak?
Oh, yes. All right, friends, welcome to the Jury Roundtable. Tonight we are joined here by our two lovely moderators, Miss Tony and her Subway sandwich prepared by Keaton, and we have Lyndon drinking a White Claw. Lyndon is also an alum from Animal Kingdom, so they have played the game before. They have been in your shoes, well, not your jury shoes, but they have been in the game at least. As we go into tonight's thing, you guys all know basically the drill. We're here to talk about their games, not who they are as people. We are sticking truly to that. We want to make sure that we say nothing that is too insulting, because at the end of the day, we're all people playing an online org. We have real lives, things happen. So I just do ask that you do keep it respectful and keep it to the game. And if it's personal, only good things. With that being said, I will turn it over to Tawny and Lyndon.
Tony's still eating. We're also here to keep you guys on track, and I will mute you or loudly scream if you get super off track for more than like 2 minutes. I hope you're excited for that. Otherwise, what do you think of the final three?
They're definitely the last three.
Yeah, they're the final three in there.
Oh, man.
Brandon winner, Team Brandon.
As with all games, I think the last three people that were evicted would have been a much better final three, but it's kind of my fault.
Karen Davis, let's replay three of us. You guys in?
Yeah, if we want to start over at final six,
and maybe listen to Karen at final six,
and maybe listen to Karen.
Maybe we can have an actual final recap.
Well, Tawny and I don't have the power to restart any point of the game. Unfortunately, they didn't give us that much power.
Wow. Okay.
Y'all want to go in alphabetical order? Be a little quirky.
Sure.
So you can start with your homie Brandon.
Boy. No. Okay, no. Coming from me, who has probably had the most like public and longest like rivalry with him the whole game, since we constantly took shots at each other, I fully respect the game he has been playing. I think it is so impressive that he was on the block like 7 weeks, I think. And I don't think in any of those weeks he was a pawn. He was like, it was like honestly put up as someone that could have been going home that week. And the fact that I don't know if he had just had the right connections, or the house just talked itself out of voting him out. But the fact that he's still here is mind-boggling to me, and gotta respect that.
I think with Brandon, it always came down to there was a bigger threat next to him, always, and which is wild because Brandon is a big threat. He's always been a big threat, but he managed it.
I think it was, we all knew there was someone who was going to be willing to put him up too. But like that's where other people ended up being bigger threats. It wasn't that he wasn't consistently a threat, but we all knew someone was going to be around who would be willing to put him up. So it was fine keeping him and getting someone else out if the opportunity was there.
I feel like a lot of the reason Brandon stayed wasn't necessarily even Brandon. Like I feel like a lot of it was the house just deciding that Brandon staying was better. I don't think it was much of Brandon doing any legwork to make that happen. I think like when he was up with Zoe, like Zoe was just the bigger threat. When he was up with Josh was just the bigger threat. And he was up against you too, Jason, right? While I was out. Yeah. So like you were just a bigger threat. So that does say one thing, that like Brandon was in a position where he wasn't the biggest threat ever going on the block. However, I do think a lot of the reason he kept staying was just because there were bigger threats in the house. And I don't necessarily think that was his doing. And I think a lot of it was just the house deciding the other person had to go rather than Brandon needing to stay. Like, I think a lot of it was more voting for voting out the person that we thought was going to be the bigger threat moving forward, and that just wasn't Brandon ever. And I don't know how much influence Brandon really had on that.
There were definitely rounds where he was like, no, I'm not that worried. And it's just like, sir, you're on the block. Like, you could be going home. What do you mean you're not worried?
I heard at like week 1 or 2 that Brandon was like very confident that nobody was putting him up, and then he got put up.
And that was why I put him up. Yeah.
Right. I was putting him up week 1, or sorry, week 2, week 1, whatever. There were so many people I heard saying that they would put Brandon up, but he was going around telling a bunch of people that he was so confident with his connections and that nobody was going to put him up. And I feel like that was a very big oversight, at least early on in his game. And it kind of showed how like little social awareness he had within the game, that he thought nobody was going to put him up. And then not only did he get put up, but like half the cast was going to put him up.
Yeah.
And while this was very early in the game, but I still think that social awareness just was not there for him.
Well, then I think that brings in the other big point, that he was able to take himself off the block at that point, as he has done a couple other times. Like he won. Doesn't he have the leading comp record at this point?
I think he
this season?
I think has one more than I won, and I think I had like one more than Tyler and Emily each won.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's great.
But I will say, like for comps though, I feel like they were all very even in comps. I just feel like Brandon won them when he typically had to.
Yeah.
So like that is a good point for his game. Like he was able to win when he needed to, but he needed to a lot. So
he also won challenges that weren't just chance too. Like he won actual challenges. Like
he didn't use a Ritz cracker instead of an Oreo.
Listen,
But
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
I do think he did have some strategic ability though. Like, for example, his target was home, and then he ran to every single one of us in that live night and was like, "Let's go home."
Yeah.
And he did it without like even trying.
I think that might have gotten a little lucky because there's a chance that, based on like, because I think we all knew it was a double eviction, and from what I remember talking to people before, there were a few people that wanted Hearn out. So he might have just gotten lucky by having the same target that everyone else wanted. But he was able to pull it off. So.
I mean, I think that was probably a good move for his game, getting Hearn out, because it didn't really get too much blood on his hands, because pretty much everybody was kind of sick of Hearn shit at that point. So
Both time.
I think like his social, he did talk, but early on in the game, he rubbed a lot of stuff the wrong way.
Yeah, early in the game it was atrocious, but I think it got better.
Yeah, I think the way that he handled his first HOH was absolutely terrible.
First, oh yeah,
when tried to backdoor me.
That didn't really work.
Because he apparently had all these people that were lined up to vote me out, and then clearly didn't. I will bring some light to that. Emily saved me that round, for people who don't know.
Right.
Which I do think, like, Emily didn't necessarily do a whole bunch in this game, but when she did stuff, like, she did stuff. Like, she is the reason I didn't go home week 4, and Luke being here instead of me, I think does a lot to the game. I think it changes it a lot, and I think that's on Emily, because if Emily hadn't saved me, I would have been gone. Emily was the HOH that got Jason out, so like, yes, it was chance, we get it, but she did do it. She won the final 4 HOH, where once again, it's not that big of a deal, but she still did it. And she's still, I know we're talking about Brandon, I guess I'm moving.
Yeah, whatever, that's fine.
But I mean, I feel like, yes, Emily didn't really talk to any of us, but when she was around, she did the damn thing.
So normally when I'm playing games, I like to give people credit for getting me out, just because I'm biased towards myself. But like at that point in the game, I was going to target no matter what. Like it just happened to be Emily who did it, so I don't really give her credit there.
Mhm.
Was she the one that did it? Sure, but like Josh would have done it, Ty would have done it. Like as long as Zoe and Avery, maybe Avery, but Zoe.
And she didn't do it because you were a big move. She did it as a fuck you because she heard that you said that she was the easy target. Like it wasn't a we need Jason out. It was a and fuck Jason. I won HOH.
Yeah.
Which is like fair enough, but
Yeah.
No, it definitely was like a fuck you to me, which is fine, it
yeah.
happened. But I
And
feel
just like that doesn't make you like strategy queen. And like what okay, from that point to Final Four, what'd she do? Like show up for comp, she absolutely had to win. Cool. But like nothing in between. I guess maintaining enough of a relationship with Ty. Like
I think her like biggest move or whatever in the game was getting close to Tyler and then becoming a non-threat.
Yeah.
Because I think Tyler sees that and he uses it as he should. And Emily just kind of fell into that spot for him. But
it kind of feels like Emily just became Ty's number.
mhm.
And
That's how he always was. I think from week one, Ty told me how like he liked Emily and wanted to work with her.
I think Emily became a lot of people's numbers, not just Ty, because I think there were a lot of
I think I
easy-
used her as a number.
Yeah, I viewed her as a number two. There were a lot of opportunities to get her out by like a lot of people could have it could have very easily happened, but it was more just like no, because I think I can get her to vote the way I want in a way that I might need later down the line.
So y'all have kind of moved on from Brendan. Is there anything else you guys want to say about him? Like best moves,
Brandon
worst
winner.
moves, anything before we move, I feel like more into Emily, Tyler, because I feel like we're really going there now.
I think Brandon has true loyalty, and that says a lot for me. And I appreciate that. And I think he started off really volatile and emotionally driven, and I saw him chill out over the game. And while I don't know if he had the best social game or social connections, like clearly he was making maneuvers, whether that was through social connections or not, I still think he managed to move really cleanly through the game. And he didn't have to fuck anyone over, whether that was easy because he was public enemy number one and had enough people obviously gunning for him or what. But
he was fucking over anyways. He was on the block every single goddamn round.
right, exactly. Like
I think he like didn't have much of a chance to make moves because he was always on the block, which like could be good or bad for him. But I don't know. I think a lot of the things he tried to do though didn't happen. Because like he really wanted Emily to go at 5 and that didn't happen. He wanted me to go at week 4, that didn't happen. Like there was a lot of things that he wanted to happen that he could not pull off. Whereas like if you look at Tyler, everything Tyler wanted to happen happened. Whether you like how he did it or not is one thing, but if Tyler wanted something to happen, it happened. And that speaks a lot to him. I know we're talking about Brandon, but
well, yeah. I can get to that later. I'll just say that Brandon is a sneaky little bastard. I hate that he's still in the game and I'm not, but I respect almost everything he has done thus far. And that's where I'll leave it.
All right, so let's go into Emily. I'll take over.
Oh, so now we're
Good job,
Emily.
y'all. Good job. Good job.
Back to Emily. Let's kind of talk about her strategic ability. Was there anything that just seemed like she did on purpose besides the fuck you to me? Is there anything that Emily did that was like intentional?
Week 1, I know that Emily voted Brian out, but like she made it clear that the people she wanted to work with were the people that voted she voted Jazzy out, but she made
Yeah.
it clear that the people she wanted to work with were the people that voted Brian out. And then she ended
Right.
up kind of like leaning that way and voting with or working with those people, being me, Alex, Avery, Tyler. And that's kind of the people she ended up somewhat working with, I guess, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, we kept her as like a
Right, she was almost like
again as a number. We can use her later down the line.
So, but then like when it came to the Luke versus me vote, the people that the people that were trying to save me were the people she wanted to work with. And even though she knew Luke outside of this game in real life, even though she knew him, she still saved me because the people that she wanted to work with were saving me. And so I think that shows strategic ability on Emily, because she realized that even though Luke was somebody she could work with, there were more people to work with if she saved me. And so I think that was a strategic move on her part. Whether she thought about it that way or not, I don't know. But I know that that's why she ended up saving me, was because the people that were saving me were the people she wanted to work with, and she didn't want to vote with the people she
It
didn't want.
doesn't feel that strategic to go with the numbers though. Like it might have saved you and that feels like a big enough move for you, but like saying like, oh, she saw where everyone was gonna go and knew she needed to work with them, like, okay.
Well, she could have picked a side. She, like, the way she voted was gonna be the numbers. And so she picked the people that she wanted to work with and she thought she could get farther with.
They're also the only people she was messaging through the whole game though too. It doesn't
That's
feel that
true.
strategic.
But
Seems
why
pretty
would-
obvious. Like if that's what the people you're talking to are telling you they're doing, like are you gonna make yourself the odd woman out of the only people you're messaging?
I was just gonna say, Davis, like I voted to keep you, and I got
Mhm.
fuck all from it from Emily. Like, like Emily's social game is so people were like, oh yeah, no, I talk to Emily all the time, and I'm just like, how? I'll message Emily Sunday good morning, Monday good morning, Tuesday good morning, and she'll respond at 9:00 at night.
What kills me too is even Ty, who was apparently the number one, who was bringing her along, often spoke about it's not hard to like check your phone in between leaving class and walking to your car and say, hey, like acknowledge someone for a day, or like check your phone 3 times a day, not that fucking hard. Like
I can't give Emily my vote just because of her social game alone. Like if this was a game for $750,000 and somebody just didn't talk to me all fucking game, I'm gonna be like, no, go away.
I mean, I think it's slightly different because you'd be like in person and like sort of have to, but like I know, but it's a different game than real Big Brother because you can choose not to talk to people. I don't know.
If Madison put $750,000 on the line, I don't
think we have that. I don't think we have that budget.
There's so many times where trying to talk to her would be like talking to a wall, except the wall would have better conversations. And maybe she was only talking to the people she wanted to work with, but that's not a great strategy because at the end of the game, the people you're going to screw over are the ones casting the votes.
Do y'all have any moves you feel like she rocked real hard?
Getting me out.
Also, Davis, I muted your voice because you were making noises.
Oh, sorry. I don't necessarily, like, other than like saving me and getting Jason out, I don't know that there was a move that she did make.
And that's also kind of like, where was she in between?
Yeah.
Jason out and final fucking, yeah.
But even with her social game, she's there and we're not. So.
But that's also who chose to take her there and who chose to take us out. So is that on her or someone else who's left in the game?
I mean, we just talked about Ty. Like,
I feel like y'all move on to Ty and how he impacted all that.
He impacted everything. Every goddamn thing, Ty was some part of it.
Yeah. Tyler controlled this game beginning to end. Everything that Tyler wanted to happen.
Through that, because I definitely
here we
had
go.
a more like, I'm just lost in the wind. Hope nobody notices how unnoticeable I am. Like, I'm just sitting in my bed. Like, I did not see moves being made. It was definitely painted to me. It's just like, I'm lucky people haven't noticed I could be a threat if I wanted to.
Mhm.
I remember during when it was week 3 and he was HOH the first time. Even though it was teams, he could not make a decision for himself about who to put up, even though he had a number of options. He could not decide for himself, and the only reason that Avery and Brian got put up was because Avery went to him and said, "Put me up."
Yeah, Tyler had literally connections with every single person, or at least one person from every duo.
No,
at
that's
that time.
right. That's fine, but it's like that could also be said to something. Like he backed himself into a corner there to a point where he couldn't make a decision for himself, and he had to wait for somebody else to do that for him, even though it was his week.
But he did have those connections that he was able to get somebody to do that for him, though.
I don't.
That's true. He didn't have to be the one to nominate. Someone came to him and said, "Put us up."
Well, because I think he was going to nominate those two anyway.
Yeah.
He just used that as an excuse to do it and not get the blood on his hands for it. Because I think that's who he was going to nom either way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like, we have to talk about how he hasn't touched the block a single time.
Not
Like,
even pre.
He just hasn't touched the block at all.
And though it was definitely well, we can't put Ty up because he'll automatically get put out. Like no one would be able to resist it. Like literally the last 3 rounds.
That's why
it can't be against Ty because it'd just be too much. Like people wouldn't be able to handle him on the block and not take him out. Which I mean, it worked. It was reason enough for us to not do it. So.
Like
I
go ahead.
I was going to say, I saw Ty's game before I was evicted the first time. I told Josh, like, watch out for Tyler. He's playing probably the best game of everybody. And so the fact that, like, I saw that early and I still didn't do anything about it and other people saw it and they didn't do anything about it, like, that shows how Ty was able to get into people's heads and convince them to not put him up for whatever reason. Because like I've seen Ty do this before and I still let it happen because of my connection with them and other people let it happen because of their connections with them. So
he definitely burned a lot of bridges on his way though. Like sure he might get to the end, he might even get the win, but he burned a lot of bridges. And because he made everyone feel like they're number one. Which, like, don't get me wrong, you want to make those connections and you want to make those alliances. But it always hurt when it was Ty.
Yeah.
Like, every single time.
I know that, like, with Karen's vote, like, Tyler and I didn't say anything until 10 minutes before. And I feel terrible about that. I did not know that I was doing that till 10 minutes before. But then later that night, when we were in breakout rooms, Tyler told me he was saving me. He immediately messaged me and said he was saving me. And then in the breakout room, he said that he doesn't know how he's going to tell Brandon that he's evicting him. And then I get off. He talks to Brandon. And then Brandon comes back and he pulls Emily back into the breakout room. And then they come back. And then Madison says, give your vote. And then I get a message that says, I have to evict you. And I feel like that was very unnecessary. He could have told me.
Michael, you don't know, he was messaging me all day before that eviction too. Like all day before. He was reassuring me the day before, 20 minutes before, the 10 minutes before. He was like, so who do you want to take with? Like, and I hadn't been talking to anyone all day. So then when he starts saying, Karen, everyone's telling me you've been saying you have to take me out. And then when you were like this fucking 3 chat, like, I was like, what in the fuck is this bullshit?
He started talking about possibly taking you out, like, that afternoon, I think. And I wish I would have. I almost messaged you and said, Tyler's considering taking you out. Tyler's wavering. And I didn't because I thought that I was Ty's number one at the time. So
the thing that Tyler did so well was he was always so good, like being able to survive not touching the block. But when it came time to actually evict somebody, he sucked at it. He was so bad, he made everyone feel like shit. Like he messaged me, I'm voting against you, fought with me for like 10 minutes, and then didn't talk to me for the rest of the day. That's he's really bad at sticking the.
I will say something I do respect about his game, though, is that he looked at every side of every vote and decided what was best for his personal game with every vote, whether or not it was based on his personal connections or it was good for like his friendships in the game. He did what was best for him in the game, and it got him to where he is at, regardless of how it made us feel. He's still sitting there because he put every single one of us here.
Like
and yes, we're pissed off about it, about how he did it, but he was able to do it. And like if Tyler wanted the opposite person out every round, the opposite person was leaving every round. Except for maybe like Zoe. But I think that I've talked to Josh about it now. Josh was considering saving Zoe, and if Tyler would have been convincing enough to me, like I was ready to save Zoe on my HOH in a tie. I wasn't sure that I was going to do it, but I think if Tyler and Josh would have both been ready to do it, it would have happened. And then with the Josh vote, Tyler could have gotten it to go the other way. And then with the Avery vote, Tyler could have gotten it to go the other way. Like every single vote, Tyler decided who left.
Yeah.
Regardless of how he treated the round.
I think the Avery one is what got me the most too, because I was gone. I knew I was for sure I was done at that point.
I feel like I need to talk about that since
I feel really nasty about that round.
Yeah, Davis, you and I talked, and I'm letting it slide for you because that was like the only thing about your game that I don't respect. But the fact that you guys one manipulated me to put her on the block, that's fine, whatever, that's part of the game. But then it's like, because I know that Ty and Avery were like number ones, but then he waited for the week where she wasn't there at all to take her out.
I think he waited to that. I think that's just kind of where it fell. I think the timing was really bad, but
that's fine. But it's like he had to know there was something bigger going on just based on the fact that she was not responding at all for days. It just felt a little cowardly to me.
Yeah, I don't know
if he did it during his own HOH week, it might have been a little different. But
I don't know if everybody knows the full situation, but essentially, me and Tyler told Alex that Avery told us to evict her that round as an excuse for saving Karen. Because we wanted to continue to work with Karen, but we didn't want Alex to be upset with us for voting out Avery. So that's essentially what happened there.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. If you guys have just said, "Hey, I think Karen would have been a better person to work with," I think I would have respected that a lot more.
Yeah.
Because then I would have been like, okay, fine, you got me to put her on the block and that was your target. That's fine. But like to say that like she was feeling so bad about her personal life that she wanted to get out of the game is like beyond me.
To the benefit, like I feel like had we done that to sway someone else's vote, I think it would have been a little more devious. I think using it as an excuse for voting her out wasn't quite to that level, but I do still I still regret it. I absolutely regret it.
Yeah.
But
then she came back, and then you guys were like, I already promised Karen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that just whole situation affected me a lot. And that's something I have to take into consideration during this vote.
I think one of the things that Brandon definitely did better than Ty was Brandon was never afraid to say his names. He was like, no, I'm
Oh
going.
yeah.
I'm going to vote to evict this person.
Mhm.
Like he never was a coward about it. Where Ty was a lot.
Every
Well-
time, not just a lot, every time. And he
Yes.
would go for hours about how bad he would feel and how he wouldn't be sure and how he didn't know how to say, like, tell it, say it. And it's like, sometimes you just have to fucking say it. Like, we all
Yeah,
know that's part of the fucking game. Is
I feel
having
like
the fucking
I feel like half our conversations were me being like, I feel kind of bad about this, and then he would say, I know, me too, or something like that.
Yeah.
literally.
I
And
do
it's
think
like, yeah.
had, at least in my case, had Tyler told me in the breakout room that he was evicting me, I feel like I would have had a lot of pull to change his mind. And so I feel like him waiting to tell me was probably better for him because I think he knew I could change his mind.
Yeah, Michael, why do you think he had to wait until 10 minutes before to have you both message me? Like, that's the thing too. He couldn't even do it himself. You had to also send me a longer, more in-depth fucking
Yeah, well, I saw his short ass message and I was like, wait, can I send my long, like, I feel such like so bad. Like
Yeah. I don't know if we're allowed to discuss this yet, but I'm probably gonna ask this for my jury question either way. But like, especially if Tyler gets there, what I want to ask is like what did you do for your personal game that did not require you to rely on other people to do things for you?
This will be the only time I'll talk this entire time. Alex, you're more than able to talk about that. You are perfectly good.
Okay, so that's my question. Nobody steal it.
Yeah.
I don't have a question for them. I really don't.
I will figure out a question.
I've got questions.
I might not
I've
even be
got
able to be there.
answers.
I think it's going to come down to Ty versus Emily or Brandon versus Emily.
If it's Brandon versus Emily, I don't know how that. Like
That's
I
a Brandon
genuinely
vote.
I don't think Brandon's going to take Emily. I think the only way it's Brandon versus Emily is if Emily somehow pulls out this final.
If Brandon takes Ty, he 1000% has my vote. If Brandon takes Emily,
Literally.
he like 99% has my vote.
I feel like a lot of us have threatened to vote for Emily if she's in the finals, and I almost feel like
I will keep screaming it, but I won't. I'll vote Ty if it's those two. Won't be fucking happy about it, but he actually played, like, whether he played dirty or not.
I know. I just would like feel bad if Emily did make it to final two, because I don't think she wants to be there.
Yeah, that too.
Tyler at least told me, I don't know if I can believe this because a lot of what Tyler told me was not true. But Tyler did tell me that Emily does not want to sit in finals because she will have to sit and be trashed on for however many hours.
No, she told me that as well, so I believe that is true.
So
and that's on you. First the fuck of all. Like, sorry about it. Anyway, I know a couple people who would be more than happy to sit there and be trashed on a little bit.
Literally.
Like, thing to them, like, cry about it.
Karen, your game was trash. Oh my god. I'll trash you right now if I don't really have much to say.
Like,
Just
on a
kidding.
game level, I think the people that Tyler took out were the better people because, like, Karen, you would have beat anybody. Coming into the jury, I'm being told I would have beat Tyler. I don't know if that would have happened at the end of the day. I don't think I should have beaten Tyler.
I would have voted for you over Tyler.
But I feel like Tyler did take out the people that were going to beat him. And I mean,
well, when you say took out, what does that mean? Like, he the one?
Tyler took me out single-handedly.
Well, yeah, but that was single-handedly. But in weeks where, like, you know, more than one.
Karen out, like, he had to convince me to do it. But
okay, but like going back to, like, I don't know, Jason, like.
Well, I wasn't here for that round, so I can't.
Right. Sorry. So I guess I'm asking Karen here, like, was he the one to, like, start the conversation of, oh, we gotta get Jason, or is he the one to start, oh, we gotta get Zoe out? Like, I don't think so.
We should talk about the Josh round because I feel like that's a round that Tyler had a lot more influence on than he wants to admit. So
Well, that was
I kind of have a
well,
question.
no, that was Avery's week, and she only
I know,
put.
but Tyler had a lot of influence on Josh leaving that week.
But
I
she-
was
oh,
going
but-
to save Josh, and Tyler convinced me to
Yeah.
vote him out.
And Tyler did that Tyler did it, and so you ended up telling Josh before Tyler told Josh, and so Tyler was able to get off with voting Josh with a lot less blood. Karen, I do have a question though, because Tyler told me that Josh was planting seeds against Tyler to you, and that you told Tyler that. Did Josh ever plant seeds against Tyler to you?
To me?
Yes.
No. Tyler told me that he was hearing from everyone else that Josh was planting seeds.
Yeah, so Tyler told me that like 3 people had come up to him and said that Josh was planting seeds against him. And so what I'm thinking really happened is Tyler and Josh were number ones, clearly. But I think that Tyler was starting to see the game that Josh was playing and how well Josh was playing and decided he had to ditch him, but he needed an excuse for it. And so he used that as an excuse, and it worked because I believed it until I got out of the game. Like until I had a conversation with Josh, I believed that. So that I will say I feel like me and Tyler had a lot of influence on Josh leaving the game, because I think I had a lot of influence on him going up, and I think Tyler had a lot of influence on him going out, because yes, Avery was like planning on putting Josh up, but Avery mentioned doing Emily instead, and I feel like I had a lot of influence on getting Josh up instead of Emily that round. And then when it came to the vote, Tyler convinced Karen to do it. He was going to do it. Like,
Well, hold on. To be fair, it was pretty easy, I think, to convince Avery to put Josh up, because all we had to do was give her our word that we would vote Josh out.
yeah, but I think like had Tyler not done that, Josh wasn't going up.
Yeah, but it wasn't like Tyler
So-
had to like.
Yeah, but he still had to give
He still had to get her to
He still
do
gave his
it.
blessing. Yeah,
She
if
wasn't gonna
Tyler
do it
didn't
on
want
her
it to
own.
happen,
He still got her to do that with her turn.
Well, she
Yeah,
needed all of our
if
blessings.
Tyler-
I mean.
yeah, but if Tyler would have said no, don't do it, she wouldn't have done it. So like I feel like Tyler had a lot of influence on that.
I feel like that could have been for any of us, but
1000% convinced me on that vote too.
Well, I do think any of us could, but any of us could also have said no. Like any of us could have said no. We all had to say yes. Tyler's sole no would have said no. Like you
right.
could.
But my
have
point is, like, anyone's soul no would have said. So I feel like anyone would have had the same influence. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm saying
I
that's all.
tried
I'm
to
saying.
say no plenty of times and got left in the fucking dust. So
I do think
no,
like,
I don't think.
it was a really good move on Tyler to convince Karen to vote Josh out, because then he was able to just tell Josh like the numbers aren't there, I'm sorry, rather than being like, I need you out.
Well, and that totally opened me up too, because I was ready to lock it down with Josh at that point too.
Well, because
So-
that opened up you to work with me and Tyler.
Yep.
Which is why I
1000%.
wanted Josh out. But because the reason for getting Josh out was because we didn't think that you and Brandon were as close as you and Josh, or as Josh and Brandon. Like Josh was kind of that
Mhm.
link. So we're like you and Brandon were close, but I think Josh was kind of a link in there.
Yeah.
For me, like, Tyler took me out at the perfect time. The actual perfect time. And whether or not, he was actually responsible for me going home or not important. But like, had I survived in 1 HOH, I would have not been his ass in a second. But like, he knew that, and so he took me out, and he took us out, all of us, for the exact same reason, because we were all gonna. The second one of us was like, you know what, maybe Tyler is a threat, was when we went home.
Mhm.
I will say I don't necessarily think that's the case for me, because like I told Tyler I was happy going to the end and losing to him, but but I do think like for the most part, yes, I agree that yeah.
I just don't know if we can like pin a person going out on Tyler or on any one person, especially when there's like 6 people voting.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I
Right.
still feel like a lot of rounds, if Tyler wanted it to go the other way, it was going the other way.
Mhm.
Like he had that much influence.
Maybe.
And like I think there
Maybe.
might have been other people that could have also had that influence, but Brandon's not one of them and Emily's not one of them. So
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Brandon wasn't able to have that influence because he was always on the block.
Right. I
So
was always
that's
good
just
at being the double agent too. Like he was always good at walking the line with everybody and knowing how everyone sat with each other.
Tyler wanted Brandon on the block. Tyler had Emily as a number. Everything that happened with that. So, like, yes, he was a coward when it came to eviction night and many other things, but I definitely think Tyler played the best game of all 3 of them.
absolutely.
It's just like, what is a perfect game if you have to be nasty about it though? Like, I don't think it's perfect. Then I think you just didn't get on the block. Like,
yeah.
I just don't like the semantics of that then, because I would say Brandon has a much more interesting story arc at least then, and like a real coming of age, going from enemy number one
The
and still
worst
being
person in the
enemy
house.
number one, but like people are kind of rooting for him at least, not just like, oh, this fucker.
Every week I was like, this has to be the week we get Brandon out. And people, not even Tyler, but other people were just like, we'll do it next week.
So,
and it just never happened.
I talked to Brandon way early on, like after the Michael Davis and Brandon fight. I was like, dude, you need to chill out. Like, people are looking at you really negatively right now. And he was super shocked by it. I was like, you don't have as much support as you think you have. And
clearly that showed with my vote.
Haha. Yeah.
But
then again, the fact that vote happened and then he got put on the block the next week and then Connor went home.
But I also don't feel like Brandon was the reason that Brandon stayed. I feel like we just took Connor out.
Well, I voted for Brandon that time early in the day and then turned my phone off. And then someone messaged me and was like, yo, Connor's leaving. So I don't know what happened that time.
I feel like that was a lot of Josh and Tyler's influence.
Yep. I was gonna say there was a group that Brandon just happened to be part of, and he was told that he would have safety if we like could put him up, and he was too fucking upset about it.
I was told about some kind of alliance group. I don't know who all it was, but I believe it was like Karen, Josh, Tyler, Brandon, Avery. I don't know if there's anybody else.
I think that was it. That's 5, right?
And I think I would assume it died on Avery's HOH when she kind of chose me, Tyler, and Alex over you guys. But like, when was that formed, and how much influence did that have on the game?
Honestly, not a lot. Like, there was not a lot of stuff. Brandon put the most stock in that one, which was convenient enough for us because we were like, well, if he ever gets power, he's gonna have a hard time choosing between us. There was not a lot of like discussion. Some here and there, especially like when it first started. I'm trying to think what round I think it was when we got in our second duos. I think it was around that time that it got made. I can't remember the specific timeline, but that makes sense for who was in it. It definitely died after Josh was gone though. And in that chat, Brandon was like, oh, she will not put me up. And we were like, oops.
Davis, Alex, did the 6-person chat that we were a part of, like, was that like genuine at all, or was that just like
the alliance between me, Avery, Tyler, and Alex?
No. Tyler, myself, Davis, Josh,
Oh, not really.
Not necessarily. I think it was genuine the week it was made, and that was about it.
I
but I didn't feel like anybody else was going to.
Here's the thing. Me and Tyler sort of maintained the idea that because he was telling me you were scared I was going to put you up during my week, and then right after that happened, or not right after, but like later in the day, you messaged me being like, hey, want to form a group? So I was kind of like, okay, so I feel like he's doing this more to just.
Oh yeah, no, it's totally saved my own ass. I can't.
Right, yeah, but
And I
like,
think that's what I viewed the whole group as, was just a group that was made because you wanted to be safe. And
Yeah.
I would have put stock into it, but I didn't feel like anybody else was, and so
yeah.
yeah.
And even so, the week that Michael and Josh got put up, you told me like, I think the group was just to get us to jury,
Mhm.
which like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, which
Could
like
have backfired if
I would
if
like
Davis
if I
didn't
had won
win.
HOH week like 3 or whatever, I was not putting up any of those people if I could help it, because I did have like somewhat faith in it, but
Yeah. It was a good time though.
It hit the point where I was just like, this is boring. I'm just gonna let's nominate Josh Davis and just see what happens.
Yeah. Well, and also like Brandon exposed us.
Was it Brandon?
which I heard Tyler was one of the people that leaked it.
Oh, Tyler, I was waiting for that to get brought up. Yes, Tyler absolutely leaked it.
Okay. Okay.
And then
And then started an alliance with all the girls.
yeah,
Ew.
Alex, like you probably could have assumed that like I leaked the spirits to Josh right away, but
No, not really.
well, I leaked the spirits to Josh as soon as I could,
Cool.
but apparently Tyler leaked it earlier than I did.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, like I leaked that to Josh like the first call I had after it was made, but Josh told me last night on our call that Tyler told him about it before I did.
Oh wait,
Okay.
which one was the spirits?
The spirits was me, Alex, Tyler, and Avery. We formed that after week 1 because we were the people that voted in minority week 1.
Okay. No, then
But
that
it
one
would have
wasn't.
been such a good
That one
story
wasn't
arc
leaked.
for us to be Final Four. Still upset
Yeah.
about it.
Well, then don't leak it if you want the storyline to work. No, okay.
Oh, I leaked it early on because I wanted Josh to know about it. But
Okay. Well, that's fine. Like if he knows about it, but like, I don't know. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what we were talking about before this.
Like, who is Ty actually loyal to? Like,
Who?
one person you can sit there and say like Ty was like 100% loyal to that person.
Brandon and Emily. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like that's where his true loyalties apparently are, because that's who he took with him.
Yeah.
So-
Speaking from my game, which was just the spirits and nothing else. Whoops.
Which I kind of picked up on.
Yeah, listen, this is my first time trying things here.
I mean, mine essentially was as well. I just also had stock in Josh, and I had somewhat stock in Emily.
No, I had stock in other people too, but it was like that was my like first priority. But anyway, point being like
definitely my major priority.
Whatever. But like point being that I don't know how much Tyler did for that. So I can't really comment on where he
Tyler put stock in it because we put stock in it. If we hadn't like been super loyal to that, Tyler would not have been.
Yeah.
And it just benefited him, and that's why he was loyal to it.
Yeah. So like can't speak too highly about that, but that is just me.
Y'all really just like talked and answered literally every question I could have prepared.
Let's go.
So-
dude.
I do have a thought.
Yay, Tony.
Surprising, I'm talking. So I kind of got from like the gist of everything that to me it seems like Emily is just kind of completely out to y'all. Like there's no like nothing that she could potentially say to
I would consider voting her if somebody brings her.
If she played
Jason said it for me the other night. She lost my vote when she couldn't even show up for Zoe's round. Like
Literally,
you aren't even going to be there for the game. If she makes it to the end, I don't want to show up to vote. Like you lost my respect for the game.
you might be able to not talk to anyone inside this entire game, but you have like a single job. Like,
Mhm.
if you're not on the block and not the HOH, you have a single job. And she failed to do her job later in the game. Sorry, Karen, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
This got really like
No, yeah, please assist.
that was like the nail in the coffin. Because it's like we all showed up every single round. We all showed up, voted, did our jobs, went to the next round. She couldn't even do that. And like I said, if there's something on the outside that I don't know about, then I'll apologize because I get it. Life happens. But as of right now, nothing's been said. She just disappeared, which is kind of her,
Yeah.
whole thing, and failed to do the one job.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
that
then
makes sense.
Keaton wanted me to ask him something. He said, what's the difference between Emily taking herself and someone?
Don't answer that I asked anything. Thank you. I was just wanted the question to be asked.
Okay, whatever. Answer the question.
What was
The
the
difference-
question?
What's the difference between Emily taking herself to the end and someone else bringing her there?
Well, I think people have been bringing her all season long, and the theme of the last 5 weeks was we'll get rid of Emily because we don't want to see somebody
the
else
end.
bring her. And so if somebody ends up bringing her, I might just vote for her because I don't respect that. But if she brings herself, which is kind of funny because you would think it'd be the opposite, but if she brings herself,
That's got to be something.
I don't know, because
If
I don't
she
think I feel like I would be more likely to vote for her if somebody brings her.
If she brings herself and therefore wins HOH this week, she'll have the most HOHs this season.
Yeah, because she got Final Four HOH, she got
And then Jason HOH. Yeah. Everyone else
That's
has
what's so fucking goddamn frustrating too, I think. It's just it's not that she's bad at the game when she chooses to show up. So it just wasn't good
I
enough for
feel
her
like
from weeks
she
blank to
could-
blank.
She could have played a phenomenal game if she was here because
Yeah.
she's really good at comps.
And
And
that's
she
why
clearly
it
is
feels
good
so
socially.
disrespectful.
She can do nothing and still be here.
If Emily played a social game, I would be writing her name down in a heartbeat. But the social game is what this game is all about.
Yeah.
I think the general consensus is that all three of these people have an extremely weak point at their game at some point, and that's why me, Karen, and Davis need to go back in the game and battle it out
And
there.
let Karen win as she rightfully should and would.
Honestly, I'll let you.
I would
I'll
be
let you.
I would be so happy to lose to you, Karen.
That's the thing too. I think everyone would have been happy to lose to me.
Okay, calm down.
God. Yeah.
I mean, I think we've all said what needs to be said, the four of us, but
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting tired.
Let me message Zoe really fast because it just
I think it just
ended.
finished. Yeah.
It just finished because I have it open on my phone.
Part 2.
I want the breaking news first.
Let's go.
About what? Who was taken to the end? Who he took?
Yes.
Oh wait. No, I thought that's part 2 just started.
No, they're talking about a different game.
Oh, my bad.
I need the inside scoop.
I
But
think I
Carson
know.
is still going.
Oh my god.
I'm asking. I
I
just
wonder
really just
how
missed it.
Karen would possibly know an ET about that.
You know
actually,
nothing.
it's
Oh.
my roommate playing.
Yes, 1 minute. Zoe, we just ended.
Well, you guys can all leave and we will just privately chat with Zoe.
Oh my god.
And it'll be the best part.
Wait, but I kind of want to see Zoe pop off.
Yeah, I want to see what Zoe has to say.
Sorry, you guys have to stay so
we-
that Zoe can talk.
I want
Are we able to get this recording put into the chat so people that are not here can go back and watch it before finale?
I'm gonna
I
say
don't know if
yes.
they actually will, but
Once I upload it, I'll make sure that it gets sent here. Once I put it where it goes, and then it gets uploaded where the fuck it's gonna go.
because
Yeah.
whether they actually watched or not is on them, but I feel like they should have access to it.
Anyway, I am all for giving Zoe an unbroken, unfiltered 5 minutes.
Can we all go off
Scream.
cam again? And
Yes,
like,
for her.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Yeah.
a queen. She's my mom, and I love her.
Somebody's you should turn the waiting room on and then let us know, and we'll just.
Like, hello.
The floor is yours. Okay, bye-bye.
They all really
I
said
could
we're
also
going.
like just stick y'all in a breakout room and then just.
No. This is more funny. We did this. We did this while Zoe was on a phone call, so it's like an inside joke now.
Dang,
cute.
remember,
I think I watched that happen.
Yeah, you watched that happen. You definitely watched that happen.
guys, remember like week 1 when we didn't hate each other? Just kidding, we don't hate each other, but like.
Whoever remembers that?
No, I hated you all then.
It's okay.
What?
I said I only hate Jason.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, me too.
Just Jason said, I'm on mute now. I'm kind of upset that you guys literally, like, every single question I had, I was like, well, damn, they literally just answered that. Like, now I can't ask without sounding dumb.
I mean, the 4 people you have on here are all very like strong-minded and want our opinions to be heard.
Oh
So
my goodness, thank you. I appreciate that.
You all did a very good job
So that would be
letting everyone talk.
Jason, Karen, Alex, and then would it be Michael or Davis or Michael's voice? You said 4. There's 5 of them.
Michael's voice is also Michael's camera. They are one
He
and the
needs
same.
2 account. Oh, he needs 2 accounts or whatever. I don't know how it works.
It's
I
just
had
like
two- I
Madison.
had
Madison
2
always has
wives in the
2.
game, so I got 2 wives in the game. That's what you guys have got to do. That's the secret. That's how I got back in.
But did it help you at all? No.
4th, so
Ooh,
instead of 11th or 12th. So
gotta take the small things, right?
what I told Jason was going to happen happened. So
I can't wait for Keaton to have to cut this like awkward 5 minutes out.
no,
I'm
this is the
going
best
to.
5 minutes.
You should keep
You
it
act
on.
like I'm
I've been
cutting anything
playing.
out. That's funny.
I've been playing Pokemon the whole time, listening to you guys. It's been really fun.
Hey, Karen.
Yeah.
What you doing on camera, bud?
She's cute. I wanted her there
I am on camera.
No, but why?
because
Yeah,
she's cute.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry, I had stepped
That's
away.
okay. I turned the waiting room on.
Okay,
Oh.
let's get her in so I can get out.
She's not in there.
Well,
Come
wait,
on.
is she still in this call? She is still in this dumb Skype call. Nothing's even happening.
Oh my
We'll
god.
tell her to get
Zoe, you said 1 minute 3 minutes
Zoe,
ago.
this is more than 1 minute.
Yeah, I am disgusted. I am repulsed.
Zoe.
I dedicate my life to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and this is the thanks I get.
Ooh.
Does
She's
it-
busy adding people to prod chats for the
Very
last,
important, okay?
as Karen is in one of them and is seeing this happen at the same time as me.
This is top priority. This is my request, Lyndon.
This is your top priority.
Yes.
It's very exciting.
Oh my god.
Who's the final 2?
I don't know who are the final 2. Karen could tell you.
Oh, can I say?
Sure.
Glenna and Jason, but woo, Glenna!
Woo, Glenna.
Yeah,
Thank
screw
you.
Jason.
Wow, it's
Well-
Zoe.
Hi.
I thought I had the waiting room on. I did not. I did.
Oh no, you did, but I have co-host.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, this feels right.
All right, what's going on? What's up?
So everybody
You're the only player on
talked.
cam again. Remember that?
We tried to do the same thing we did earlier. It didn't really work, but
Cool.
So everybody has discussed very well. And now they wanted to give you like 5 minutes unfiltered to just talk, and they're all very excited.
Oh, okay, let's go.
I want to hear your roast.
Okay, Zoe.
Liars! There was no reason to be that dishonest in a BB game, and yet everybody in this motherfucking chat lied to some bitches at some time or another. Like, I want to say that I perhaps lied one time in this game, and it wasn't to any of you, so fun. Regardless, I think that Ty do we know what the results are of this thing yet?
Not yet.
Part 2 is still currently going on. The second that I know part 2, I'll let you know. And the second we know part 3, we'll get the last person in here. If the Zoom's still going on. And if not, then I'll go fuck myself.
Oh, I am ready.
Okay, well, I really just, there's a certain person I don't think should still be in the game. And you should have taken her out earlier, and maybe one of you would still be there. So, I mean, and maybe it would have been me, but also it probably wouldn't have been. It would have been Karen, and Karen would be winning this game, and you'd all be happy for her. What the fuck? You literally robbed Queen Karen. What's wrong with y'all?
I will say that was all Tyler's influence. It was all Tyler's influence. And
You should have listened to him.
Just one moment. Speaking of Tyler just won part 2, which does mean that is between Brandon and Tyler for part 3.
Okay, well, King Brandon.
Which means Brandon's probably winning. I can't.
Brandon, bring Emily so that Brandon can win and that I can.
And so that Tyler can't gloat about a perfect game.
Yeah, well, that, but also truly so that I can completely ignore Emily during Final Tribal Council.
Tyler's not going
Emily, Zoe, I don't know if you've heard this, but Emily has told multiple people that she does not want to make finals because she doesn't want to be trashed.
Which, like, I said I was ignoring her, so respecting her wishes, but I think that that's a really awful thing to do and a disrespectful thing to do to somebody's game. If you're gonna,
plenty of people who would want to be there. That's all I have to say.
Yep. So I think that that's really awful, and I got a lot of things to say, especially about, which I've said all before, and it's kind of like, it's been a week now, so it's fine, whatever. But like,
I don't
why
think
set up for not gonna play?
I don't think it's the argument of Emily's going to lose. I think it's who's going to win between Tyler and Brandon.
Okay, yeah, obviously. Who said it wasn't?
I don't know. You spent so much time talking about Emily.
No, and I don't think that she has a shot to win in hell, but that doesn't mean. I just think that, like, an uninteresting finale night this is going to be now.
Can we just make sure the winner doesn't win unanimously so that Julia can stay the only unanimous winner?
Yeah.
I'll ring against that. I'll ring against exactly that much.
Can somebody please vote for her simply so that Julia remains the only unanimous winner?
I think if Brandon makes it to the end against Emily, I think Brandon has a chance of winning unanimously.
Oh, then I'll vote for Emily so that he doesn't.
I legit, if Ty and Emily are in the finale, like, I don't know what I'm going to do because that's the most bullshit thing I've ever heard. Whatever.
I know.
Literally, Ty has what is one true whole truth that he told anybody this whole game. Just wondering.
Well, the people that can tell you are still in the game with him.
No, I really don't think that that's true. Like, I think that they've gotten half truths the entire game, and that every single thing that has come out of his mouth has been completely manipulated in some way or another. Like, if you thought you were in an alliance with him, like, you might have been, but like, you weren't the priority that you thought you were. Because his priorities changed round to round, which, like, and it's great gameplay, but like, if Queen Karen had been up there and could be like, I never told a single lie, and like, y'all are, you know, respecting the gameplay, etc. Like, I don't know, fuck.
Yeah,
I'll have a hard time deciding.
No, that is a fair point because I think like sometimes that is seen as a good thing of like, wow, he manipulated everyone so well, but like if you are sitting up next to someone who played just as good of a game to get to the same point you are and didn't have to manipulate, then that's which is why Brandon and Tyler played like polar opposite games. I think.
Absolutely. Brandon, loyal king, literally did everything that he said he was going to do, made his targets completely clear, like had his alliances out in the open. He knew who he trusted and he knew who he didn't, and it got him all the way to the end. So like,
he did tell me he was going to keep me safe, but he didn't.
To be fair, you shot yourself in the foot with that one, is what I heard. That supposedly you went and told Emily that he told you he was safe, and then that set Emily off to start bitching him out because he was lying to her, and then he got.
I don't know if I told Emily that actually.
Well, that's what he heard.
I think
Emily.
Another time.
Emily, she's going to be the renom on your HOH, but we're not evaluating Alex.
Okay, But like on
Listen,
my
guys,
on my round that I went out, truthfully tell me, like, I was cool, right? Was I not? I pushed for a while, Michael, and then about, once you told me like my mind is set, like I'm done, I was cool. I freak out.
Correct.
Right? What is the point in post veto noms in lying to somebody all day if you're going to end up voting them out? Like, I was having an anxiety attack that day because it was so unclear. If he had said to me in the beginning of the day, it's not in my best interest to keep you, really love you, but like, you'd beat me or whatever. Like, I don't know, whatever his honest reasons were for taking me out, I would have respected that so much more than coming to the jury and hearing person after person that he had convinced them to vote me out that day.
Now, I will say, I do think Avery had a lot more influence than Ty did on that, on you ending up going. I do think in that conversation it was led by Avery. However, I do think that Ty knew a lot earlier than he told you that he was evicting you.
Absolutely. Ty told me like first thing in the morning, and I spent most of the day trying to weigh it out and see if he would not do that. And even then he put it on Avery, but like he knew way, way early in the day.
So what's the point of lying if I'm going to go home anyway? It makes me a bitter juror. It makes me not want to vote for Ty.
Oh, that's fair.
Like, you could call it a perfect game, but it's not perfect as soon as somebody doesn't respect you because of it. Like
that's my question. What's a perfect game if it just means you don't get on the block? Like,
the literal definition of a perfect game in never being nommed, never being voted for, whatever it is for Big Brother. But like, there's the emotional perfect game of like, were you kissing Bradlin? Like, did you blindside and they went out kissing?
I kind of did with Ty, but I think I was the only one.
You were going to regardless though too.
Yeah, seriously.
That's not because he played the game so well.
When I was getting after Karen said that she was evicting me, I went to Ty and I was like, dude, you have played the best game. Like, if you are not player of the season, I will riot, because it's just impressive how he's dodged every single thing. And I don't know, it's just amazing to me.
But is it because he had to be nasty about it? Meanwhile, Brandon just kicked ass at comps and knew who to trust and just did the shit.
Yeah.
I had to be a nasty little snake about it.
Tyler himself told
the dirty work.
Tyler himself told me that all of his comp wins were just complete luck.
Yeah.
Well, Brandon's won every kind of comp except physical, because
I also
Davis,
was selective on which ones he actually wanted to win too. There were plenty of times that Ty was choosing to not put himself in that position because he felt good enough to not need to.
Well, a lot of his wins were the ones where he could not throw.
Yeah.
Right, but he went out and yeah. Anyway.
If you guys have nothing else to say, I can stop the recording. We can sit here for a bit until we get the last person.
I think we're going to be running around in circles a little bit.
Okay.
Y'all said some good stuff. I'm very proud.
This was very productive.
I didn't have to yell to make people stop talking about themselves at all.
And I'm sad about it.
This is the most quiet I've ever seen Tawny.
So I have this really twisted.
You're not wrong.
I have a really twisted mentality in which I respect the people who I was against after the game, especially in Big Brother. I think
I respect
same against after the game more than I respect people who were with me and betrayed me. Because if you were vocally after me and you made your point, I'm going after Zoe, it's not it's you had clear intentions and you managed to execute them. When you're a backstabbing person and you lie and betray people, it accomplishes your goals, but at the cost of them not respecting you.
Yeah. I will say, Zoe, I feel we're on a really good level personally right now, even though it's the HOH that took you out.
Yeah, literally, because you respected me enough to tell me your decision, to genuinely consider what I was saying.
And I absolutely did.
Yeah, and to be able to talk to me after the game, after we were both out, to just casual conversation. Same thing with Alex. We were visibly gunning for each other the whole game. And after the game, first thing we did was talk and be no, I'm not pissed. So
Let me tell you
But,
about
like,
Dr. Karen.
I will say, like, Josh came into this jury chat and I was hot. And I was fucking hot. And like
I scrolled back. That was amazing.
Because like once again, on my out, there's just no point to lie to me about what's gonna happen, especially if you know what's happening. Like especially if you decided earlier in the day. There's a decision to be honest and to say, I think that I'm going to vote for you. If you want to pitch, feel free. And there's something to say, like, I don't even want to hear your pitch. So I'm going to tell you that we're good so that I don't even have to speak to you on the way out. Like, Josh, we're good now. Like, I don't hold grudges forever, but like, I'm still hot. You know, we're still in the game. It's jury phase. I'm hot.
There's such thing as a bitter juror, and I'm a bitter juror.
Yeah.
Correct.
Literally,
And then I'm a really nice friend afterwards.
Okay.
I made no secret about it. I wanted Karen out. I wanted Karen out of the game because Karen and I didn't talk a lot. And then I told Karen on the round, on Michael, your round, where I got you out. It was like, I told Karen, you're going to be the renom if somebody comes off, because she asked me and I didn't want to lie about it. She turned my entire opinion around in 1 hour. Just 1 hour. That's all it took. Entire game of barely talking, she turned it all around in 1 hour.
Well,
And
It's because thank you, Tawny. It's because Queen Karen is the most incredible human being and player. God bless America.
I will say something I find kind of funny in retrospect was that during my second week, I put Brandon and Karen up. Brandon because I thought he was the biggest physical threat, and Karen, I put you up because, and this is the truth, because I thought that you were the one in the game to be gunning for me the most. And then you said something along the lines of like, well, if that's how you feel.
That's all right.
When I was
if that's true, tell me. But like, I know you said like if you like we could have worked together to put Tyler out, but like
Shoulda, woulda, coulda about all of those times.
I know. Same here.
Then we know who's first boot.
Do what?
Hey, listen.
I said when we redo the season, we know who's first boot.
Oh my god.
Get a first boot like it was as intended.
Davis, you were right. I was